said that they prefer it when women are done having their children by age 35. But if for one reason or the other, you will have to have a baby way after 40, say 45, 46, 47, or even 50 and above, what are the likely challenges? What really could your chances be? Today on 40 Weeks and More, Oheneyere Gifty Anti tells her story of how she had her baby way after 40, 47. And there's so much you do not know about her struggles and her miracles. The full story right here on 40 Weeks and More. We are eternally grateful to our sponsors, Ernest Chemist Limited, Labadi Beach Hotel, Ship Healthcare Specialist Medical Center, and also to Deco Zone, Our Luri, The Better Merchandise, and Lunch Avenue. We're getting into the conversation, and today we are talking about having a child way after 40. Meet my guest.
Hi, I'm Oheneyere Gifty Anti. This week on 40 Weeks and More, I will be sharing my journey on having a baby way after 40 years.
How is it like having your babies way after you've turned 40? My name is Dr. Promise Sefogah, consultant obstetrician gynecologist at Shape Healthcare Specialist Medical Center and a senior lecturer in the University of Ghana Medical School.
Hello, big sister Oheneyere Gifty Anti.
You know I like it when you say big sister. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Dr. Promise Sefogah.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Wezoy.
Marekuyo, Nyale Doji.
Mawe. Mahogbanye.
Hey,
Okay, great. Great. So we get straight into the conversation. So you had Nyame Anionyam way after 40, like 46?
47 years.
47?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How so? What happened? Was it by choice?
Ooh. It wasn't by choice. I've said this openly many times, so I'm not uncomfortable talking about it. Way before I got married, I tried having a child. Okay. I had always been this person who loves children. You know, my greatest fear was not to have a child.
Of your own.
So I knew that whatever it takes, I'm going to have a child, whether by adoption, and thank God with technology and with what I do, I got to know about surrogacy, IVF, you know, insemination, and I got to know all that. So I was really well into it. So well before I was in a relationship, a stable relationship. So I wanted a child, and I tried several times, it didn't happen. I tried IVF 4 times. It didn't happen.
4 times?
4 times, yeah. From Ghana to London to it didn't happen. So at a point I was told that they didn't think it would happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask, why wasn't it happening? Was it a case of infertility? Why was it happening?
It started when they said I had a problem with my tubes.
Okay.
So they had to flush it.
Okay.
It was one of the most painful, you know, treatment that I had, the procedures I had to go through. And then after that, the flushing of the tube. Then after that, they said one of them was condemned, you know, so I have to operate with one. But then somehow it wasn't happening. So the option was to try IVF, and they weren't staying as well.
Okay.
You know, you go through the process, but it doesn't stay.
Please don't forget where we are at. Doc.
Right.
Yes.
By tubes, we mean the fallopian tubes, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it was blocked. That's what she said. And they had to flush it. What is that?
So if you look here, this is the female reproductive tract in simple terms. And so for pregnancy to happen, the woman needs to release her eggs.
Okay.
And when the egg is released, the egg is supposed to travel through the tube.
Okay.
Okay, and that is the fallopian tube. One on the right, one on the left. And so we need this tube to be patent, not blocked, so that the egg can journey. So during that time of ovulation, when you have unprotected sex, the sperm is released here. And of course, the sperm also needs to be plenty enough and have the ability to swim up. And so it travels all the way to meet the egg up in the tube, fertilizes it, and the fertilized egg, which we call the embryo, travels down, settles here, and develops into a baby.
Okay.
And so the tubes are cardinal in a woman's fertility function.
So if they are blocked,
then
it means that there won't be
the ability to meet. And the tubal problems are the leading problems in women in our part of the world. So if you take 10 women who are having difficulty conceiving, 6 to 7 of them, the problem has to do with the tubes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Now let me ask, what causes it?
I was expecting that.
Of course.
Teacher Edem. So the commonest is past infections that the woman or the young girl may not even have been aware of that she had an infection.
Okay.
There are some infections we call pelvic inflammatory disease. Basically, infection, normally there's a lot of bacteria which live in the vagina as a matter of natural phenomenon to keep it acidic, to prevent other problems. And so from time to time, some of that bacteria goes up through the womb, through the tubes, and that is an infection.
Okay.
And that can happen without the woman having any symptoms.
At all?
Yes, about half of the women with pelvic infection will not show any symptoms. Majority of them, it is when they are visiting hospital and we're doing a scan for something else that we detect it. Okay, if you are lucky, then you will have symptoms like an abnormal vaginal discharge. And the vaginal discharge is considered abnormal if it is something more than clear to cloudy. If it is colored, yellow, greenish, purple, brown, pink, whatever, if it causes some irritation,
then there's a problem.
Yes, and if it has an abnormal smell, then it means there's a problem. So that goes undetected and treated, then it damages the tubes. Sometimes it damages it in a way that the tube is permanently blocked.
Wow.
Sometimes it's partial. Sometimes it's one. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's partial, and so it doesn't take out the function completely. The egg is able to get fertilized, but unable to journey back to settle here. So the pregnancy is stuck there, and that's what we call ectopic pregnancy. Has a danger that it could burst with profuse bleeding internally, and if you don't get into hospital, get into surgery within minutes to hours, we unfortunately would lose you.
When you say these things, you know what I always say, all in a bid to have a baby.
Yeah.
And also because you're a woman. Great, thanks for the explanation so far, Doc. Let me get back to Oheneyere. So IVF 4 times, it didn't work, and it was the IVF not working as a result of the blocked tubes as well?
No, IVF, you don't need you don't need a tubes when it comes to IVF. You know, you just direct into the womb. You know, so but I don't know why. You know, doctors who explain that there's some who I have a friend who's tried it many times. It never worked. They said there's a cyst or there's something, but somehow mine never,
So
stayed.
even after flashing the tubes, you still couldn't conceive?
No. It still didn't happen.
The IVF 1, 2, 3, whatever the reasons were, it also didn't happen. No. But you still kept on.
After the 4th, I gave up.
You gave up.
I really gave up, and I settled for the fact that I can't carry a baby. In fact, the last statement by one doctor to me said, Gifty, I don't think you can carry
a baby.
So that's I had made up my mind. And anybody close to me, who, including when I was going to get married, and the reason, I dragged getting married to my husband was the fact that I felt I was not going to be able to carry a child, to have a child. And I made no secret of it. I told him that this is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so before you got married, how old were you when you were trying for babies?
Actually started late. I started trying in my 40s. You know,
Okay.
I think I really started around 41 years.
Okay.
Yes, 41 years. That's when I really seriously started, you know, pursuing this act of trying to conceive. You know, initially it's always been protection. I don't want to, it's always in my mind, I don't want to have a child out of wedlock and all that. But then it got to a point I said, listen, I'm old enough.
Let me have
You know, I'm working, I have my own place and all that. Let me try to have a child. I had a stable partner who was also ready for us to have a child, you know, and so I went in for that. I was around my 41, 42. Thereabout, yes.
I asked because I also want to find out from you if by which time you knew that it was quite risky to have a child in your 40s thereabout.
Right.
Did you know?
Thanks to the programs I did, I knew that it was risky.
Okay.
But I also knew that it was not impossible. It was possible to have the child. It was also possible to have a few challenges, but all you have to do is to do the right thing, have the right doctor. I remember when I finally got pregnant at 46 years, my big brother, you know, my cousin who was in the US, insisted that I come to the US because of the age. And in the US, I would have been put to bed rest, and knowing the workaholic that, you know, I am. You know, he wasn't too comfortable I was here. But I also felt that, well, I was told that was impossible, but the doctor was a doctor here in Ghana who treated me. That's Dr. Padiaite, that I got pregnant, you know, when he literally, quote unquote, forced me to try again. You know, because
after you had said it was enough.
So when he told me, it was through a different surgery, like a growth on my stomach, and where he wanted to check if it hadn't, you know, it wasn't anything cancerous or anything. And then when he went in, he said to me, I remember when I was coming out of that surgery, and anesthesia, he said to me, I heard him saying that, hey, the way this woman has made me struggle to bring this, and if she doesn't try, because her womb was fine. I remember.
You heard it?
I heard it. So later on, when after surgery, he was talking to me, and I said, Gifty, why don't we try again? I said, Doc, I've told you. You know, we've done this, and so I'm not afraid to admit I'm okay. He said, Gifty, let's try. When I went, I saw your womb is okay. You can carry. I believe you can carry. So let's try. That's what made me try again.
And so you tried IVF again?
I tried IVF again.
Okay.
Yes.
By this time, you're married?
Yes, yes. I was married.
Were your tubes fine at the time?
No, my tubes were not fine.
Oh, no, I just wanted to find out how come, I mean, you were married, you had flashed the tube some time back. Were they okay? Couldn't you have conceived?
No, I
the tubes
told you
were
at
still
a
not
point
okay.
they were just gone. It was impossible.
Okay.
You know, it was impossible to have a child the natural way. I mean, according to the doctors, you know, it was impossible to. So IVF was my only option. IVF or surrogacy or adoption were my only options. Yes.
Okay. So we went the route of IVF.
IVF, yes.
What changed this time round?
What changed? One, I believe, is the man involved. The relationship I had with him. The faith he gave me, the assurances, and how candid he was with me. He didn't hide anything. He told me about the risk involved. And I remember when we started the treatment, he gave me the song by When My Back Is Against the Wall. You Made a Way. You know, he sent it to me on, you know, WhatsApp, said, keep listening, praying with us song. And let's trust God. I'm only human, you know. And I believe during the insemination, we had Dr. He's at Finney, Dr. Ellis.
Yeah.
Like he's one of the very first people to do IVF in Ghana. And funny thing is, I covered that story.
Oh wow! You were an active journalist at the time.
I covered that story, yes, wow. At Provita.
Yes.
You know, yes, and with Dr. Barr of Women's Hospital later on and all that. And he was there, and then the neurologist, the one with the vitro, embryologist, yes. He's Dr. Selom. Okay. You know, yes, he was at the police hospital. So all of them were there, and of course my husband was there as well, and they prayed. And I remember after everything, Dr. Aite saying, "God, we've done our best. It's now up to you." So I just went into it with everything within me, with faith and trusting God and praying, and with fear as well, and making sure that I do the right thing. I remember, 23rd December 2016, I had a cold, and we're having,
By which time you were pregnant?
I didn't know.
Oh.
They had done my story is just, it was, the insemination was done on the 11th of December.
Okay.
And then the confirmation, the 2 weeks was supposed to be on
25th.
25th, but they pushed to 24th. Then 23rd December, we're having a worship program. I organized this gathering of daughters worship, and I was, dancing, and I had a terrible cold. And I called Dr. Aite and said, "I'm afraid, I'm coughing and I'm sneezing." And I said, "Okay, you come the following day, 24th, and let's try it." And the lab technician who was supposed to do the lab and take the report to the doctor to break the news to me came and hugged me and went on her knees and thanking God and singing, and all the nurses.
Before doing the lab?
Before going to the doctor. So the doctor wasn't amused at all. So 24th December 2016, what I never thought could happen happened. Confirmed pregnant. Yeah.
Okay, so you had a cough, you had a cold, you didn't know at the time that it had worked, insemination had
the
worked.
baby had stayed or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
But when after the process, weren't you told what you can do and what you can't do?
I was told, I was told to be careful, but I was told to also not to draw too much on it.
You just have to live.
I should live. I remember Dr. Padaite telling Nana to make sure he takes me straight to breakfast from the hospital. Okay. They did as early in the morning, take me straight to breakfast. And yes, it was way to one of the, hotels to have breakfast.
Before we you had a fancy breakfast. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's why she loves the fancy things. Before we went, home. But it was scary moments every single day. I was just checking, I'm sure you've read parts of my books. I was afraid to urinate. And one of the things that come with IVF is constipation. Okay. And I didn't want to try to push anything because I was afraid the baby, you are going to urinate and you are checking. Every morning you are checking if there's no blood coming out, if there's nothing. It's very traumatizing. Very traumatizing.
Wow. Doc.
Yes.
IVF. My first question is, what makes it fail? Because she had tried about 3-4 times?
3-4 times, yeah. So yes, the IVF is not 100% guarantee that it will give us pregnancy. And so we are always forthright with that for the client to know. So we have some kind of cautious optimism, right? But when, for instance, you said the tubes were blocked. Sometimes somebody's tubes are blocked, and then by the way, the painful thing she had when they were trying to flush the tube, now we're able to do it and it's much less
painful.
Yeah. So, yeah.
This one, we are talking about 2000.
Exactly, yeah. So things have evolved a great deal now. Yeah. And so sometimes the tube is blocked at one end and there is fluid inside. And that fluid is very toxic to the embryo. So sometimes that fluid, we've done IVF, put the baby inside, and that fluid comes and flushes the baby out or destroys the embryo. Sometimes it fails because the inside of the womb is just not receptive. Again, could be from previous infections. Sometimes the quality of the embryo, as a result of the woman's age, the partner's age, or a woman who drinks a lot of alcohol, the partner who takes a lot of alcohol, does a lot of smoking, or some other problem we call endometriosis, right? Endometriosis has a way of negatively affecting the quality of the egg, and for that matter, the embryo. And so these are some of the reasons. And so that the younger a woman is, the better the chances compared to if they were much older. And then sometimes we just have to keep hopeful, you know, because some majority of people would say, no, doctor, I'm not going to go again. And then the last one, the last try, you know. One of my patients, similar thing, she's done about 3 times, including 2 cycles in the UK, came almost not wanting to, so let's give it a go. And then God gave her twins, and numerous of those stories. So the persistence, you know how they say, try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And we keep hopeful. Because like she said, now we bring in a lot of clinical psychology because the mental health component is very key. So all through the treatment, the hormones, it's stressful. Look, so in doing IVF, you have to take daily injections for about 12 to 14 days.
Before?
Yes, as part of the process. Okay? So you can imagine, and it should be taken at about the same time.
You had them?
Yes.
And it's at about the same time, every day.
Every day.
So you can imagine the disruptions to your schedules, and the hormones have a
if
way
you had
of...
it at 10 today, the rest of the 12 to 14 days, it has to be at 10.
10, at least between 10 and 11, that kind of, you know. And these are hormones, so sometimes it has a way of affecting your mood. Sometimes you pick up quarrels with your partner unnecessarily, you know. So we bring them together. So we counsel you that these are the things to expect, you know. And then it's injection. Today we give it to here, tomorrow here, today here, tomorrow here.
Stomach.
You know, you know.
Your stomach?
Yeah, sometimes,
Yes. And then so it's stressful. So there's a great place for adequate psychological support. So we have to, so we do clinical psychology sessions, and that helps you to cope a bit better. And then when we do the embryo transfer, because it's not 100% and we try to optimize the chances, that is why we will put in 2 or maybe 3 of the embryos maximum, just as a way of optimizing.
This one fails, maybe
just in case, and because it's also expensive. It's expensive. And here you pay out of pocket. There is no insurance or government subsidy, nothing.
I'm sure it's seen as a luxury.
Unfortunately, you know.
Wow.
And so we do these to optimize the chances.
All in a quest to have a baby, to have a child in your arms, one that you call your own. Look, when you see a pregnant woman out there, I beg you, show them all the respect and all the love. Don't ever tell any pregnant woman that they are lazy. Don't ever do it. I want us to talk a bit about the mental and all the emotions you had to go through. But that will be after this break. Thank you very much for staying with us. Just before we take the break, I was going to ask my big sister to tell me about all the emotions and all the psychological things she had to go through to give birth to a baby, considering the fact that Before she got pregnant, she had tried several times. It wasn't working. IVF a couple of times. She talked about how painful flushing of, the tubes are, because for some reason they were blocked. All that was done, pregnancy wasn't attained. Then she decided to try IVF because the doctors had said that probably could just be your way out. It's either you're doing IVF, you're doing surrogacy, or you probably will have to adapt. She chose the route of IVF. First one, no. Second one, no. Third one, no. And she decided that it's enough. Maybe at some point she was just going to adapt or try surrogacy, but she closed her mind to it. Then way after, some way, somehow, God smiled on her. She tried again and she had a baby. But before she had the baby, she did go through a lot. Let me say thank you to Ernest Chemist Limited, to Ship Healthcare Specialist Medical Center, Labadi Beach Hotel, Arluri, Deco Zone, Dobeta Merchandise, and Lunch Avenue for sponsoring 40 weeks and more. Emotional, psychological, all the things you had to go through, including how you dealt with the constipation and the fear of even going to wee-wee.
Yeah, even the spiritual aspect of it. Yeah, you ask God why. What have I done? What sin did I commit?
Oh.
Okay, fine. I wasn't married, so maybe you didn't want me to have it. Now I'm married. What next? It was very traumatizing. First of all, even the injections. I remember one time I was having a program at LWAC, and it was time I got involved, I think overwhelmed caught in the excitement. By the time I checked, I was almost late to go for the injection. I jumped in my car and I sped off.
Wow.
I nearly ran into an articulator.
But that panic alone could have caused havoc.
Because then, what happens, anytime it fails, you start wondering, what did I do?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe I didn't do this. Didn't I take the injection on time? And I remember the UK one, what they did was they gave me some of the injections where you do it yourself.
Yeah.
You have to inject yourself. So then you wonder, didn't I do it properly? So with this one, everything plays back. What if? Am I going to go through this again? Am I also again going to be told that it didn't work after everything? The pains of the injections were there, the fear, the scare. It was like, this is my last, chance. So you put your all in, and every single day was traumatizing. Every single day. Waking up, first thing you do, you check, no blood. You are coughing, you are eating, you are just craving to see a sign, a confirmation that, and then after it happens, you are told it is, the baby has stayed, insemination has taken place. And then you have to go through, they tell you the first trimester is the risky one.
Yeah.
And then you wake up and you are vomiting and, it's wrenching. And yeah, it's, so I call her the one who stayed.
Wow.
I call her the well. So when the cover of my book, The Black Charity, she's looking up to God, and I interpreted to me, she was telling God that, God, I told you, let me go to this woman, I can handle her. I tell myself that she was just playing in the garden of heaven, and every time she saw me on my knees praying, and she asked God, what's that crazy woman? What is she? And if you know how I pray, I'm like a crazy woman, like Hannah. So, and God said, well, she said she wants a child. I don't know if she can handle it. And he said, God, you send me, I'll go. I think I can handle this one. So again, 3 embryos were inserted, but she was the only one who stayed. I wanted twins so bad. How greedy you can be. The day I was told that it was possible, this.
You wanted all 3?
No, I wanted 2. When I was told that insemination had taken place, and I said, God, then I moved on to God, let them be twins. Let them be twins. That every time, what I looked forward and left for was going for the scans.
First scan.
First scan to see, and the first scan, I had I remember my doctor saying that, listen, can you hear the heartbeat? That image, that sound
I
can
have
never
goosebumps.
leave me.
Wow.
That can never leave me. I mean, that sound, heartbeat, and you live for that sound beat. You don't know whether to tell people or not to tell people, you know. The things that people who get pregnant, quote unquote, normally would do and take for granted, you are craving for.
No.
I was looking forward to having cravings. I was looking forward to, you know, have the vomiting to confirm that yes, I'm truly pregnant. It's a very traumatizing experience every single day. And if you read my book, my doctor, midwife, nurses were in trouble, you know, calling every single time to make sure that everything, because for me it was like, this is your last chance.
No.
I was 47 then. Yeah, confirmed pregnant in December when I was 46. So this was January, February, 47. Then, I mean, with God, all things are possible. But then, with the history I have, it was like, this is it, woman.
Because I know you, we talk, but I didn't know the depth of this story.
Yeah.
You have been through so much. All in a quest to have a baby. But one important question I want to ask you. So you were going through all of these. I'm sure you also knew by which time, because you had done shows, your doctor was available, you had conversations. You also knew, you had heard that at that age, you also stand the risk of having a baby who might have probably a disability.
Exactly.
Was that not part of the things that were going through your mind?
Great part. I remember after when the baby formed the bed and they needed to check the vital stats, to check the fingers and count the toes and all that. Edem, this is something that you can't really describe to people for people to understand.
How you were feeling.
You know, so when you are making a fuss and talking about how you are blessed and this is a miracle, people don't get it.
And somebody says, are you the only one who has a baby?
Who has a baby? I remember
story.
Somebody saying that, oh, when it comes to Anionyam, Gifty, there nobody has given birth. And they say, yeah, nobody has gone through what I've been through.
I have been through.
Nobody has given birth, gone through the process I went through to have this child. Who by the limbs have the limbs, everything together, that hasn't been diagnosed with any specific, you know, problem here, apart from the fact that she's hyper, super, you know, that I'm told I should be grateful for, you know. But it was scary. I was told there was possibility of pre-eclampsia, possibility of eclampsia itself. There's a possibility of diabetes, of hypertension, you know. I had all the risk.
Everything.
And I had hypertension in my family. My mother died from diabetes.
Oh, no.
You know?
Oh, no.
And my father and my mother had me at their old age as well.
Pension baby.
Pension baby. And I was going to have a pension baby.
That's why we're sisters.
You know? You know, so all sorts of things go through your mind.
No way.
All sorts of things. And you are wondering, you are scared of having a child with disability. At the same time, you're emotionally feeling like, let's say, you are even lucky to be carrying a baby. Won't you be grateful? And you are now wondering, you know, it's every time you are tormented. Emotionally, spiritually, the dreams you have. I'm sure your patient will tell you. The dreams you have, the nightmares of whether it is psychologically conceived, you see people coming to get your baby,
wow. And all the games that your mind itself will be playing on you. No, you have been through, and now I understand why you dote so much about your daughter. She deserves all the love. She deserves all of it.
I'm grateful she chose me.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And this one, you are conscious and going through all of it every single day. She talked about constipation. I can imagine how, like, the fear that one alone will put in you, that because you are constipating, the intention is that I am going to push
the thing out. Yeah.
That one is there.
Yeah.
So you might even want to even hold it back a lot more. Yet, you have to eat for the baby to be healthy.
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
Yeah.
Plus all the emotional things she was going through. Please, let's have some education on all of these.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, Gifty's story puts everything or so much in one package, you know, because the constipation in pregnancy is as a result of one of the pregnancy hormones. One of the hormones the body produces to keep the pregnancy going. The downside is that it slows down your bowel movement. So once pregnant, constipation is highly likely. It's the same thing that makes when you eat, the food doesn't go down too quickly. So you feel the food is here. And then it also relaxes the muscle between your throat and your stomach. So sometimes the acid comes up. So pregnant women get a lot of heartburns, you know, And so when you attend antenatal, we teach about some of these things. And eating fruits, very important now. And a lot of fluid. So as a pregnant woman, we would say in this part of the world, you should drink a minimum of 3 liters of fluid in a day. Okay, so if it's a small bottle, 6 minimum. And the way to know you're hydrating well is to see if your urine is not colored, then you're doing well. If the urine is very deeply colored, you're not doing well, then you pick up. And then she spoke about the risk. When you're pregnant above 40, you stand a higher risk of developing hypertension. The risk is that risk is even higher if you were already having a family history. If you were already hypertensive, because we know most of these things, hypertension, diabetes, they begin to show in your 40s naturally. And so that risk is higher. If you're already hypertensive before you embarked on a pregnancy, then you can develop what we call pre-eclampsia. You're hypertensive, you're pregnant, and your kidneys are beginning to leak protein in the urine. If that doesn't get checked and managed well, up to a point, we have to end the pregnancy. If not, it goes on to what we call eclampsia, where the pregnant woman has high blood pressure, leaking protein in the urine, and she has convulsion. And then we're in trouble. And that easily would take the woman's life away, plus or minus the baby, or leave her with a bad stroke or kidney problems. Now the rest of her life will be on dialysis.
All in a bid to have a baby.
You know.
To go 40 weeks and have a baby.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, so the people who beat pregnant women and maltreat them.
They should be locked. They should be locked in jail forever.
I tell you.
You know, because all this is going on, and the pregnant woman is processing so many different thoughts by the minute. Is my baby going to look like my husband? They ask me, doctor, does my baby have hair? You know, they are processing all these thoughts. How is this baby looking? Is this going to have any abnormality? The pregnant woman goes through a lot of, you know, roller coaster of emotions. And I said, generally, if men are to go through 1% of what the women go through, we'll all be frowning on the street, and, you know, we can't handle it.
No, you will not.
You know, and so that is why there's the need for a lot of support. We call it psychosocial support, starting from the home, partners, parents, in-laws. We need to understand that the pregnant woman's body is going through a lot, and so what we need is the support. One of it is the unusual cravings. So just by...
Is there a hormone responsible for that?
Yes, it is.
Can't we remove that one?
Maybe you should get pregnant again, eh?
Oh, doc,
okay, so then we can't. You know, so the pregnant woman naturally will be craving for stuff. And the cravings come, they are strong and they are specific. She could say, at 12 midnight, I want tilapia from Osu, a particular spot. That's what she wanted, you know? And it could be...
I wanted a sugar cane, specifically from the Fiesta Royal traffic light.
Thank you.
At midnight.
That's it. That's
and
it.
It has to be cold.
You know, somebody one night, midnight, said, Doctor, I feel for a bottle of chilled beer. You know, so these are pregnancy.
That's what they'll tell
these
you.
are the pregnancy cravings that The men are supposed to understand. And you'll get it for her. It's not like she can even eat so much, just a little bit. And
sometimes by the time you bring it, that craving is
it's even gone. You know, so these are the things. And these hormonal changes tend to be accentuated when you even deliver. Okay, because after delivery, part of the hormones were keeping you going, and after delivery, the levels of those supportive ones decline sharply. And so then another set of emotional turmoil, including what we call postpartum depression.
Can set in.
Yeah.
Before postpartum, big sis, so tell me, how did it feel like eventually? But I mean, you had to go through CS, right?
Yes, yeah, right from the beginning I was told.
That's it.
They weren't
I'm
going
sure
to
you
risk
weren't even going to try to push anything.
In fact, I wanted to have that experience, but I was told that no, we are not risking that.
Sister Ripa.
I mean, also because of the repeated previous fibroid
Yeah,
surgeries.
exactly.
It was too
So
risky.
I was told that. So she was breached from day one, and they're saying there's no need to because we'll remove it through CS.
Yes.
Yeah. So they had prepared me
For it.
for it.
You went through all the 40 weeks.
I did 38 weeks.
38. Oh,
yes.
38. I mean,
Yeah.
you were there.
Yeah.
And so tell me how it felt like eventually when baby was handed over to you after everything.
I cried.
Oh.
I cried and cried and cried, and I didn't sleep, and I watched her like a hawk. I remember when she was removed from my womb and then placed on my chest.
Oh.
I didn't want her to go. They said they had to go and clean her up. I didn't want her to go. And you know, funny thing is, my husband was in the theater. When they took the baby to go and clean her, he left. He didn't even say, I'll be back. He left, followed the baby, left me alone on the
theater room.
in the table. Followed his daughter, and this is a man who said he wasn't worried that I wasn't going to have a child, and actually asked me if I was sure that I really want to go through all this to have a child, and if I could have time to take care of the child. The baby came and he left me on there and followed the baby. And before I got to the discovery room, he had posted a picture on social media.
Oh dear.
The princess has been born.
On your behalf.
Meanwhile, yeah, we had said that we're not going to say anything for 3 months.
He was just too excited.
No, but he didn't go through what I went through.
Yes, but I mean, that's what you might think. That's what you might think, but I am sure that he was just trying to probably take it in as a man, but he was supporting you.
He didn't take the injections. He didn't have the cravings. I'm just, this is just by
I
the
know,
side.
wow.
Yeah, but it was
very fulfilling.
very fulfilling. And then the recovery room, they brought her to me, and I had to, where I really broke down, where I had to put my breast in her mouth.
Oh.
Like, I'm breastfeeding.
Oh. At
You know,
47.
I'm breastfeeding. You know,
Congratulations.
I am breastfeeding,
Wow.
And I remember my sister came to the room, she picked the ice cream, said, Sana Swashe, me my breast milk.
Well,
And she was like, she didn't get what I meant, by that, It's,
I understand why you dote over her.
yeah.
Why you will have to write Black Chaliwati. I saw the beginning, dear daughter,
Yeah.
and that's very instructive.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll just come back in 30 seconds to take your final words. But Doc,
Yeah.
to this point, how would you wrap up on this education?
Yes. So it's a story of hope.
I know.
It's a story of resilience, and it's a story of knowing that it is possible. Yeah, So infertility is a problem. It is even a lot more common now because a lot of our women, due to education or career pursuit, they defer childbirth until later on. Over the past 2 decades, women giving birth after 40 years has nearly doubled. Just because, and it's a good thing we're trying to advance, but now we have the technology that in order not to get there with all the risk come when you're much younger and you don't see yourself settling so soon, that let's take out some of your eggs and freeze it So you can go fly high. When you are ready, then we use much younger and healthier eggs with much more less of the risks, particularly the risk of having babies with deformities. Then once we know you are advanced in age, we're able to manage your pregnancy closely, close surveillance. She said she never missed antenatal, and that is good. And that's crucial because that is where we can monitor you, close surveillance. If something is going wrong, quickly we bring you in, admit you, monitor to optimize the pregnancy outcome.
Great.
So that is extremely important. There is hope for everybody. It's a matter of you stepping forward and then
asking for the help.
It, yeah.
And finally from you.
Yeah, there's hope for everybody. It's a matter of asking for the help and getting an understanding of what you are in for. You know, they used to say that what you don't know doesn't kill you, but what you don't know these days will kill you. So knowledge is power. You know, one thing was when I knew I was going to be discharged from the hospital. The day of the third day, that's when my baby had joined us. And watching her go through that, you know, blue fly, stay in there for that long was another thing altogether.
Wow.
I just want women out there to know that don't blame yourself too much when the infertility issues come up. Now there is help. IVF is an option. There's nothing to be ashamed of to go for, you know, IVF. I'm a woman of faith, and the Bible says children are a gift from God. That child can come through normal conception, can come through IVF, can come through surrogacy, can come through adoption, fostering, or can come through just a child being with you. That child can be a blessing to you. If you want a child, try, seek help. If you don't want, it's your choice. But don't let anybody be a stumbling block.
Great.
And never forget to pray.
Never forget to pray. It is possible and there is help. So seek help. This is how we're ending on this hopeful note on 40 weeks and more. A very big thank you once again to Ernest Chemist, to Shape Healthcare Specialist Medical Center, to Labadi Beach Hotel, Deco Zone, Aruluri, Dobeta Merchandise, and Lunch Avenue. You made this happen and we are grateful. See you next week on another educative edition of 40 Weeks and More. My name is Edem Knight-Tay. See you.